This isn't gonna work well.
It's fun.
I'm gonna expand the backside of my model railroad, which means I gotta clear some space by making some suspended storage. I gotta cut out and remove my old track. I've gotta cut out and remove my old wiring, and I'm going to cut out and throw away my old benchwork. Basically, I'm gonna destroy the backside of my model railroad. If you like what you see by the end of this video, make sure to subscribe, and welcome to It's My Railroad. If you watched my last video, you know that I had to do a little negotiating with my wife, Cindy Brown, the First Lady of Model Railroading, because I was originally allowed to come out this far, and I want to come out this far with the model railroad. But we had all this stuff back here. We were using it for storage. And frankly, whenever I wanted to work on this part of the railroad back here, or get to it for any reason, I had to like crawl over stuff to get back there. That wasn't working. But anyway, what I ended up doing to solve that problem, and as a compromise with the First Lady, is I built this suspended storage inside my garage. I'm not gonna show you how I did it, but basically I used Unistrut is the product, and I lagged it up to my floor joist and cut out some pieces and bolted it all together. It's like a grown-up erector set hanging from the ceiling of my garage, and we actually end up with more storage than we started with, which makes her exceedingly happy, which makes me happy because now green light back here. While I was at it, I went through and put in some more lighting back here. Now I did a video on putting lighting into my hobby room way back in the day, a couple years ago or so, and there should be a card above my head right now for that. I'll put a link in the description too if you want to see how I installed the LED lighting. One last thing that I did for her as part of this is I hung a tennis ball from the ceiling of the garage. So when she pulls her car in now, she knows exactly how far to pull it in, leaving us plenty of room back here. So anyway, that is what we're doing to get started. Now let me tell you a little bit about the project. Okay, there's two reasons why we're gonna, well, there's actually three reasons why we're gonna do this expansion. I'll tell you the first one, it's easy. I love building model railroad stuff, and I almost feel like building a brand new layout just because I love starting from scratch. So that's reason one. Reason number two is I've got some grade issues back here. And down here on the bottom deck, not so bad, where it transfers from the bottom deck to the mezzanine on the other side. 2.25%, 2.5% grades, trains run fine. Problem is, up here, I went out and I bought one of them smart levels, and I started laying it down on the benchwork. 4% grades, 5% grades, 6% grades. Who does that? What was I thinking? I screwed my math up somewhere, I don't know. But I've got this container train I like to run. It's about 8 feet long. The cars are metal, and it takes 3 locomotives to pull it up this hill. It's fine back there, but it's really has a problem up here. And it's stressing the couplers. And actually, in some cases, my couplers are actually coming apart now. They don't couple. I got to replace the couplers. That didn't happen in the prototype world, right? So to fix that, what I want to do is I'm going to bring it out here. So it comes around here. It's got more time to travel, so it lessens the grade. Second thing is, those of you who are kind of like railroad geeks like I am know that when a train is in a turn, there's more resistance on the wheels. It makes it harder to pull the train. And so I've got this curve back here and then this serpentine thing around this column, my nemesis, and that just puts so much strain on the train. All those things combined, it doesn't work well. Matter of fact, there are times I don't even feel like running trains because I know that's just gonna have a problem back here. And so I just go on modeling. Anyway, that's reason number one. Reason number two is, on the other side of the railroad, I've got the Bentleyville yard. Now, the Bentleyville yard was where everything started for all my operations. But that was when I had my railroad sort of self-contained. It didn't go into the outside world. Everything revolved around what happens in the hobby room on the other side of the layout. But I've since decided I want to go into the big world, into the real world. I need something to do some staging and to do some fiddling. And I also need a place to store that container train. Think about this. If I want to pull that train off the layout, right now I got one choice. I take all the cars off the track. There's no siding, there's no place to put it because it wasn't designed to receive a train that size. So what I'm gonna end up doing here, and I'm gonna cut to the chase. All right, bring it out. Around the back here, we'll have some storage tracks that I hopefully won't normally need to get to because all the locomotives will kind of be up in this area, so I can get to those easy enough, and I don't even care if the track gets dirty back there. Then I'll have a staging yard. You'll do some switching ops in there to build me a big train to send to Bentleyville and then bring it back. So that is the project. I got to do some demo. I've got to get rid of some wiring, and we've got to build some new bench work, lay some track, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff, but I'm so excited. So over the next few videos, that's what I'm gonna be working on. Now let's move on to demolition. To get started on the demolition, the first thing I'm gonna do is take this out. This is kind of a view block from the other side of the layout. When you look through the tunnel, I don't have any tunnel portals. I don't have anything to hide the fact that it's going behind the layout. So I put this thing in here to make it look like there was hills in the background. We're gonna figure out how we're gonna address that later. But for now, we're just gonna sort of just pull this out like this. Boom, demolition has begun. Now let me get some snippers in here and we're gonna cut this track. So here you go. This is where the track comes down from the top deck on its way to the mezzanine. Now I don't really know how I'm gonna tie this in yet to the expansion, but I decided I want to leave some extra track here. So I don't know if you can see this, but I got some rail joiners right here and right here. And what I decided to do was just go through behind those rail joiners and just cut the track. Like that. Demo part 2 is done. So there you go. I got the track severed over here. And so right now, I can't even run a train from the bottom deck to the top deck. That's over for now. But here's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna go through and pull this track off of the existing benchwork. Now here's the deal. I glued it down here and there because it's on the back of the railroad. I'd even put cork roadbed down because I didn't care. So it should be easy enough to pull off and salvage. Now here's the thing that we can learn from this. You can salvage track. You don't have to just dispose of it. Even if you've ballasted it like I did up there, introduce some water, get a putty knife in there, gently pop it up, boom. I've done it before and it works real well. So I'll go through and just start pulling this track up like this and get her done. As the track comes up, we got feeder wires to worry about. And rather than unsoldering that and dealing with that now, I'm just going to go ahead and cut these wires using my same nippers like that so I can continue to pull up the track. I got a pair of them back here. And again, it's kind of stuck down right here. Just giving it a little effort, trying not to pull the track off the railroad ties, which I'm actually doing right now. Let's just cut that in place and call it a day. See how that's coming up? Kind of like that. So as I move further down the line, I'm running into places where it's stuck down a little better. And what I'm doing is running my putty knife under there and gently pulling that up. And it seems to be coming out quite nicely. So as you can see, if you take your time, you're kind of gentle with it, you can salvage some track, which is what I intend to do because I have a limited budget just like you do. But I'm gonna go through and get the rest of this track off this top deck. Then we're gonna take a look at what I'm gonna do with pulling off the switch motors and getting some of the wiring off of here and just moving forward. I went through using that putty knife technique and popped up the track here and there, and I got it all off the top deck. I've still got a lot of work to do, but as you can see, looking here, I got all kinds of track left over that I don't have to buy. I'll have to buy a little bit more, but I'm gonna reuse all of that. By the way, even a piece short like this that I've salvaged, I'm gonna reuse this because rail joiners are way cheaper than track. So I'll just put more rail joiners and get her done. Anyway, the next thing I want to do before I continue ripping all this stuff out is show you what I've done with my switch motors that I have on the back of the railroad. This is a cobalt switch motor that I put on using construction adhesive, and so I think it's gonna be pretty easy to take off. First thing we need to do though is pull the wiring out of it like that. Easy enough. By the way, these cobalts are fed directly from your DCC bus. You don't need to do anything funky about it. You can address them and all that. We'll get into that when we reprogram it. But for now, I'm just gonna take and start sliding my putty knife underneath it, and look at that. It just comes right out. I've got about 4 or 5 of these on the back of the railroad that we'll need to clean off the construction adhesive to be able to reuse. But for right now, what I'm gonna do is go through and pull the rest of this track, pull out all the switch motors, get rid of all this wiring. We're gonna redo that. I'll show you how I did it. And then get rid of the old bench work. Well, so here you go. I cut the track off where it comes through to the back of the layout in all 4 locations. So basically, I do not have a main line to get me from the bottom deck to the top deck, but to make an omelet, you gotta break a few eggs. That's what I always say. So when I get the track off, managed to salvage most of it. I got some pieces that are gonna need some love. I gotta buy a box of track. There's just no way around it. So we're gonna buy more track when the time comes. But I'm grateful to have all this track left over. Of course, I got all the switch motors left over. Well, once I pulled the track off, it's time to get rid of the wiring. Now, here's the deal. I don't even remember what all these wires do or where they go. They all are colored the same, and I was always in such a hurry, I never marked them out. So I just went through and just cut them and just yanked it out. I also got here a Wi-Fi thing hanging on the back that I was using when I used to do live streams out here. Well, I'm not gonna do live streams out here for a while. So I just pulled that out because all this bench work has to go. And I'm telling you, I can't run anything on my railroad right now because I just killed the bus to the whole thing. Look at this cluster I've got back here. Look at all these wires. If you were to look at this, I can't believe I'm showing this to you right now because I'm like embarrassed. Nothing's identified. I don't even know what half this crap does. So we're gonna fix that as part of this expansion. But the next thing to do then is to go through and take out the old bench work. And now, fortunately for me, I just sort of drywall screwed it in. I gotta be really careful back here. I might just cut this short right here so that I don't screw up the track, and same thing on some of the other parts of the layout. But I'm gonna grab my screw gun and a fresh battery and just start pulling all of this out and finish the demo. Well, there you go. I've torn out the track, I've torn out the wiring, torn out the bench work, and at this point, I can't run trains between my 2 decks. Maybe I can't run trains at all because I tore out the busing. But like I said earlier, omelets and eggs, you fill in the gaps. Well, this was a bittersweet experience because less than 2 years ago, I put all of this in and I had these grand plans for how this was gonna work, and it just never worked right. So if there's nothing else you take away from this video, take this away, and that is this. If it's not working right, just redo it. Just tear it out and start over. Look, I saved nearly all the track. I saved my switch motors. I'm gonna spend some more money in lumber and stuff, but I'm gonna make it right, and I'm going to really enjoy it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video of me destroying the back of my railroad. And hopefully you'll tune in for the next one where we build the bench work. Thanks again for being here on It's My Railroad. Hope to see you next time. My name is Steve Brown, and rail on, my friends.